Welcome to 15 Minutes in the Forest. My name is Adam Downey with Virginia Cooperative Extension, and today we're going to be talking about how to measure a tree with some very simple tools like a ruler, some slightly more complex tools like the Biltmore stick, and using those measurements to know how much of whatever could be gotten out of that tree. Now there's different volume measurements, but the one that we're going to be referring to is called board feet. And a board foot is the equivalent volume of this, a board that's 1 inch thick by 12 inches wide by 12 inches long. It could be twice as long and half as wide or whatever, but that's the equivalent volume. All right, so we'll be talking about board feet, and that's what that refers to. And we'll be doing some calculations of, say, how many toothpicks or rocking chairs could be made out of this tree if it were to be turned into something else, okay? So this is a nice big tulip poplar. We've got it marked at 4.5 feet. And I've got a friend here who is a retired forester, also worked for Virginia Cooperative Extension many years ago and has experience in industry. And his name is John Rocket, and he's going to be walking us through these different methods of tree measurement.
There are several ways to measure a tree's diameter. The simplest one is to take a tape and wrap it around the tree at 4.5 feet high, which is what we're looking for is diameter breast height. If you know the circumference, you can then do a simple math calculation and determine the diameter.
So for this tree we got 84 inches in circumference. Taking the formula of circumference equals pi times d, doing a little bit of basic algebra, will be circumference divided by pi will equal our diameter. So 84 divided by 3.14 gives us a diameter of 27 inches.
We used a regular tape to measure the circumference of the tree and calculated what the diameter would be. Another way of doing it would be to use a forester's diameter tape, which has a nice hook on it, the hook on the tree, wrap the tape around, and then read directly the diameter. So there's the 7 feet that we measured in circumference with the regular tape. The thing about the diameter tape is it's already done the calculation for us. So if we look at the other side, we see that we have a tree of about 27 inches in diameter. This is a Biltmore stick from Virginia Tech. And it has instructions on it that say hold the stick level 25 inches from your eye. And a lot of people have trouble with that. If you're closer or farther away, you're going to get the wrong answer. Also notice on the diameter scale, as we go to larger and larger trees, the numbers get closer and closer together, which is why that 25 inches is so important. One thing you can do is flip the stick over. There's a regular ruler on the top on this side. You can put your finger at 25 inches. We know where the 4.5 feet was, so if I just simply put my eye there, now my eye is 25 inches away. Without moving my head, I'm going to hold the stick out with my nose pointed right to the middle of the tree, and the end of the stick I'm going to line up with what appears to be the outside edge on this side. I'm sorry. I'll mess up. And then, without moving my head, shift my eyes over and look to see what the diameter reads on the stick. And for this particular tree, I'm actually reading 28 inches, which is close to the 27 we calculated with the circumference tape. It's usually a good idea to check this out by turning 90 degrees of the tree and doing the measurement all over again. So you have to learn how to hold that at the right distance. I've done it enough times and it's easy. And on this side of the tree, I'm measuring 27. So between those two measurements, we're in the ballpark. Trees aren't always round, but that's a very close agreement in measurements from the two sides. Alrighty, so now that we've measured the diameter of the tree, the next step is to measure the merchantable height. Now the Biltmore stick is set up to measure merchantable height 66 feet or one chain away from the tree. So I'm going to stick a pin in the ground here to hold the tape to about the center of the tree, and then we'll go out 66 feet and measure the merchantable height.
Good idea.
Again, for measuring merchantable height, the Biltmore stick has a set of instruction on it. And like with the diameter, we're going to hold it 25 inches from our eye, and the stick itself is marked off in 16-foot long intervals. So, holding the stick plumb, setting the bottom of it where the top of the stump would be, I will look up the tree to the first major defect, in which case this tree would be just below where it forks, and there's 4 logs in it. Okay, so again, we can look at the stick. We had 4 16-foot logs, and we can go out the rule until we hit 27 inches in diameter, and there's 952 board feet in it. Looking at the difference between what 1 inch makes, it's quite a bit of board feet difference, but for this tree, we measured it with the circumference at 27, and we measured the Biltmore with 27. The other was 28 on the short side, so 952 would be a good number.
Okay, so we got a tree with 952 board feet. So just shy of 1,000.
Yes. One of the things we've been using today on the Biltmore stick is the International Quarter-Inch Rule for Form Class 78. And Form Class 78 has to do with how much taper is in the tree, and this particular value is common for most of the hardwood stands here in Central Virginia. That's why this rule is applicable in many different locations. The other rule that's commonly used in the area is the Doyle. It's different from this one in that it tends to underestimate the board feet in trees that are 28 inches in diameter or less, and overestimates the board feet when you get above the 28-inch mark. So one of the interesting things is somebody that's buying on the Doyle scale for small trees, which take more effort to cut down and haul out, he's getting a slightly better yield than what the scale stick shows. For larger trees, he's developing an undercut in that he scaled more board feet than the log will actually cut out. So usually you see the Doyle rule used in small diameter stands. So our particular tree, we've measured the diameter breast high, 4.5 feet at 27 inches. We've measured the number of logs, birchable height, as 4 logs, and we determined that we had 952 board feet in that tree. So we can take a look at popsicle sticks. If we have the 952 times 520 per board foot, we get 495,040 popsicles. If we take a look at boards for pallets, or how much board feet ends up actually in a pallet, we've got 6/10 times the 952, which is going to give us 571. If we look at the equivalent of sheets of paper, we have 94.8 sheets of paper per board foot, and we have 952 board feet. So there's a grand total. So rocking chairs, thinking about the tulip poplar, would be more something we would think about oak or maple, but again, back to the board feet game, if we have 0.03 rocking chairs per board foot, and we have 952 board feet, we have 28 and a half, say 28 rocking chairs. And if we look at dining room tables, we have 1/100th of a dining room table per board feet if it seats 8 people. So we take 0.01 times the 952, and we get nine tables. Half table doesn't count, you can't sit. And then if you look at a house, If it takes 10,000 board feet to build an average home of 1,800 square feet, we'll take the 10,000 per house and divide it by the 952 that was in this tree, which means it'll take 10 trees to build that house. Now that we've taken a look at this particular tree and how much volume's in it, the question is what really would it be used for? Looking at this particular tree on the trunk, we don't see any scars or what they call cat faces where a branch used to be sticking out. We don't see any rot that's near the lower portion of it, and the stump looks sound all the way around. There's a good possibility that there may be some veneer bolts in the lower portion of this tree. And as we go up, once we hit the branches, the quality of the boards are going to go down. You can saw a lot of boards out of this, and that's where they'll be used in the furniture factory for upholstered furniture, things that are covered up so it doesn't show. The other nice thing about tulip poplar is it paints well. So you see a lot of molding strips and trim work that's made out of tulip poplar because it's a straight grain tree and accepts paint readily. Another way of measuring the number of logs is with a simple 12-inch ruler. And what we've done is we put the bottom of the ruler at the top of stump, and we backed off from the tree far enough so that 1 inch is equal to 5 feet at the tree. And if we look up the ruler, we see it 4 inches comes to the bottom of the crotch. So 4 5s are 20, which would be 1 16-foot log, which is what we got when we measure it with a Biltmore stick.
Well, thank you, John Rocket, otherwise known as Old Bear. John has been a friend for a long time, and I appreciate his educational approach to things and the vast experience that he brings. Also, just to note that we've shared with you a couple of simple tools for measuring tree volumes. There are certainly some more complicated and expensive tools, which would be good investment if you're going to do very much of this. For example, if you had a portable sawmill or something like that that you wanted to start getting an idea of what kind of volumes you've got in your woods. But these two simple approaches you can do with very little investment, and if you're interested in one of these Biltmore sticks, we do have them for sale in the College of Natural Resources at Virginia Tech. And with that, I'd just like to give a shout out to Crofton Hill, my friends there, to be able to use this property for another video for 15 minutes in the forest, and we hope to see you again soon. Bye.